All right, some final key points to look at for your games here on Sunday. There's about 5 of them that I'm looking at, and maybe something on each team to pull out and say, man, if they do this or if they don't, this gives the other team the best chance to win. So let's have a look at some of these and maybe help you watch it with some different perspective when you're watching your games outside of your fantasy teams on Sunday. Let's start with Green Bay and Tampa Bay. The key for Tampa Bay is real simple. You better be more balanced. You can't throw it 67 times like you did against the Bears and win. You just won't, because most teams don't win when you throw it that much. They were fortunate enough to have extra opportunities, and they pulled it out. They throw 50-plus times in this game. They've got no shot against Green Bay. Must be more balanced and have a little bit more run game in this game. For the Packers, it's can you be patient enough offensively to throw the ball 4 yards, 6 yards, 8 yards, 7, 8, 9 times in a row, because Tampa Bay's defense does not want to give up the big play. They keep everything in front of them. Patience will be the key for Aaron Rodgers and his ability to check the ball down and make Tampa Bay come up and tackle as opposed to trying to force the big play. The Cowboys and the Redskins, great football game. Key for the Washington Redskins is you got to pick your poison against the Cowboys offense. Your defense, do you want to be in that situation where we're going to take away Marion Barber and Felix Jones and force the passing game of the Cowboys, which is spectacular, to beat us, but hopes that we get a couple interceptions and that Tony throws it to the other team and that they drop a few balls and we have Tony Romo throws to the other team and they drop a few balls and we've got an excellent chance to make up for, get a short field or have a return for a touchdown. Or the other way around is, do we want to be able to allow the running game to beat us, where Romo's in that 25 to 30 throw range and they're handing the ball off to Marion Barber and Felix Jones and just pounding us to the point where we can't take it anymore. See, a run game can be very, very beat you down defensively, because mentally, physically, and emotionally, it's like 7 more yards. So you got to decide, because you're not taking away the entire Cowboy offense. You're just not going to do it. The Redskins aren't good enough to do it, and if they are, then they've jumped up to be one of the special teams in the NFC. We haven't seen it yet, but they're going to get challenged in their football game today. But we've got to see for the Redskins, can they do it? Which side do they pick? Who do they choose to stop? And if they do stop that person and make the Cowboys one-dimensional, are they good enough still defensively to allow that to happen to win? If the Redskins can pull off this game, who the heck knows what's going to go on in the NFC? So they've got a major challenge ahead of them, but it should be fun. And keep one extra eye on Santana Moss. If the Cowboys in the secondary miss a tackle or two, this guy's big playability could literally keep the Washington Redskins in the game if he can get a couple home runs in the football game offensively. The Jaguars and the Texans, and you say, why this one? The Texans somehow, some way have got to step out of this and start playing better. And the key for them is, are they man enough and physical enough to take a punch in the mouth about 1,000 times from Jacksonville? And if Jacksonville's going to impose their will on them up front and they play the macho game, which they do as well as anybody in football, are the Houston Texans tough enough to grit their teeth and bow their neck and stick their chest out and take it? I know it sounds so macho, but that's the way Jacksonville is. They're going to bully you and bully you and bully you until you wilt. Try to keep it close, knock you out, and get a couple standing 8 counts and decision in their favor. That's what they want. On the other side of it can Jacksonville get back? Can they muster up some explosiveness? Because Matt Schaub, although he struggled so far this season and struggled last week, he's got the ability to make big plays. So Jacksonville's got to find a way where it's not just relying on Jones, Drew, and Fred Taylor every week, because somewhere along this line, and they lost their first 2 games, somebody's going to outscore you, and somebody's going to be just as physical and macho as you, and they're going to make the big play, and you're not. I got to see big plays in the passing game for Jacksonville, and this is a good place to start against the Texans, a pretty doggone good Texans young defense, but you need to make some big plays via the passing game, if not just for this week, but to set the tone for weeks to come, because Jacksonville had Super Bowl aspirations, but they're not going anywhere, no matter how macho they are, how good they run the football, until they prove that the passing game could win a game for them. And it must do that, and that'll be their key for this game. The Tennessee Titans and the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings get a win, made the change, got 2 veteran quarterbacks, Kerry Collins. They're rolling along well in Tennessee. Gus Frerotte for the Vikings. For the Minnesota Vikings, their key, and this is going to be their key throughout the season, is getting pressure and their defense being relentless, forcing turnovers and cutting it loose on defense. And Kerry Collins, as much respect as I have for him, Kerry does not like to get hit. No quarterback likes to get hit, but the more you hit him, the more you'll start to see him back and throwing off balance. You'll start to see it. It's just like a domino effect. Boom, the next one, the next one, next one. And before you know it, Kerry Collins was stepping into a throw, then he's parallel with the throw, then he's leaning back on a throw, then he's throwing across his body on a throw. Before you know it, he's throwing off his back foot and throwing it up against people and letting anybody get it. That's what you're going to watch for today, because if the Vikings are hitting him in the mouth on a regular basis, which, with the Jared Allens and the Williams guys up front, they can do it. So they're going to try to pressure, and hit and get to the point where Kerry's throwing it to the other guys. He's been serviceable and been great this season as far as just managing things, and that's what his gig is. He's also capable of making a big throw, but you watch this now for the Vikings. Their big key is can they hit him in the mouth and force him to let the pressure get to him and start to change mechanically what he does. When he's in rhythm, he can sling it, but the Vikings are going to try to take that out. And the opposite is up front. We know that the running game for the Titans, what Jeff Fisher, their head coach, wants to do, we're going to run it. We'll run it on 3rd and 9 if we have to. To protect the quarterback and put our defense on the field. Because I guarantee you, Jeff thinks his defense can dominate, especially the passing game of the Vikings, even though Gus Frerott's in there. But the Titans, for them, theirs is twofold. They've got to be able to, up front on the offensive line, deal with the Minnesota Vikings defense and have a lot of push and create a new line of scrimmage on the offensive line. But on the other side of it, it's real simple. You better create a new line of scrimmage with your defensive guys and get in the backfield, because if Adrian Peterson isn't get touched till he's about 3 yards on your side of the line of scrimmage, then you're in trouble. So it'll be a whole line of scrimmage thing for the Tennessee Titans against the Minnesota Vikings. And this is going to be as physical game as a Jacksonville game, if not more physical, because both teams in this one, Minnesota and Tennessee, are as physical as it gets, especially in the trench area and when it comes to knocking people in the mouth in the front sevens. So that'll be Tennessee's key, is up front on both sides of the ball, creating a new line of scrimmage. The Philadelphia Eagles and the Chicago Bears. This is pretty simple if you watch Pittsburgh's game. The Philadelphia Eagles are going to blitz and pressure. You got an offense that's not explosive in Chicago. Can you beat the blitz with a nice run or draw or a screen or whatever, or a big play on the wideout position where Kyle Orton's getting hit and throwing it? 8 sacks against Ben Roethlisberger, and they're going to do the exact same thing against Kyle Orton, because the Bears aren't as good at dealing with it as Pittsburgh was, and Pittsburgh got hammered. Philadelphia, it's all out blitz, and Kyle Orton's going to seem like there's 16 people on the field. That'll be something to take a hard look at. That's a big key for the Bears, how they deal with it. Now, the other side of it is Philadelphia Eagles' health. How healthy is Donovan McNabb? Brian Westbrook, are they close to 100%? That Philadelphia has just got to make sure that they give Donovan McNabb time to deliver the ball, because Donovan McNabb, and because Chicago's defense can be relentless also now. You're going to get 2 teams that are going to come after you and pressure you. But Donovan McNabb's been really, really good. So they've got to deal with it up front. And if McNabb's in rhythm, he's taking some wide receivers and putting them in position. It's not like he has Marvin Harrison or Terrell Owens or one of those guys on his team. He's taking some guys and really making something happen. All you got to do is give him a little extra time to throw, and that short, controlled passing game will end up making big plays. And you also must keep Brian Westbrook involved in the passing game. And if Westbrook's healthy, you must be allowed to screen. You got to get him it, because they're one of the best screen teams in the league is Philadelphia. But get Westbrook involved and try to create mismatches with him. That'll be a big key for Philadelphia. I'm anxious to watch both these defenses and how they get after the pressure on the quarterbacks. And McNabb can deal with it. The question is, can Kyle Orton deal with it? Because Ben Roethlisberger, as good as Ben is, had no shot to compete last week because he got knocked around. And that's exactly what Philadelphia is going to try to do against Chicago. Chicago must have this, and Philadelphia, to keep pace in the NFC East, this is a huge game for them also here on this 4th week of the NFL season.
So you think you can tackle a pro? There's only one way to find out. Click on fantasy at opensports.com.